What's up everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today's topic is the Object 780. We'll go over the armor and just the stats, we'll go over a replay, and then we'll go over the event at the end, and of course you guys can skip around using the description below. Let's get into it. So, this is my loadout for the Object 780. I currently have Purple Rammer, V-Stab, and Turbo, though the Turbo can be swapped for Vents in my opinion, depending on the map, and also because this thing can only get up to 55. Also just the normal food, and I'm running a Rammer directive because the DPM isn't actually that good. So even with everything maxed out, also using field mods, it's already quite accurate, but this is just the best field mod. And then it has the speed one, which is quite OP on some heavies. In this case, it gets it up to a reasonable number. Now, if we look at the DPM, even with it maxed out, 10.8 second reload, nothing to write home about, but it is 530 alpha. The aim time and the accuracy is really good though. This gun is fantastic, and in the replay, you guys will be able to see that. Top speed, 45 base, can get it up to 55 using field mods and turbo. HP is really low, and the armor, we'll look at it. It looks both weak and strong at the same time. And the V range, 410 base, so you do not need optics, you do not need vents unless you are trying to scout. And then you also have 7 degrees of gun depression all the way around. Now, and we can also look at the ammo real quick. AP shell, pretty good, 267 standard, 1130 shell velocity, which is good for a standard round. Premium round, 311, 1480. This is what you're going to be firing if you're playing this tank. It's just better. Faster shell velocity, better pen. As for the crew, now this is a pain. If you want intuition, you're going to have to put it both on the commander and the gunner, which is ridiculous. Mind you, I actually did it. Some people say you don't need it. I like it for having high explosive rounds for shooting at lightly armored tank destroyers. Also, you're going to want situational awareness on your commander, which it just takes up a lot of space. This crew, there are a few things that are similar, but if you want safe stowage, you're going to want to put on the gunner, and there are no other similar crews. Let's get into the armor real quick. So, it's just auto ricochet mostly against AP and APCR. Is just very highly angled. There is a cupola, which isn't that strong. It is kind of small, but in close range, like, this is a very hittable target. So it is a weak spot. And then if you raise your gun to hide the weak spot, there's a weak spot underneath that a lot of tanks can pen without the 340 heat. This is the 311 APCR that I'm going with right now. The lower plate isn't very strong, but is very well angled. If you move it just a little bit, that becomes very hard to pen, but actually the upper plate becomes easier to pen, so always be looking at that. This thing cannot side scrape. It has a huge weak spot if you try to side scrape, and yeah, it's not the strongest armor on the side and the side turret, and it's a very big side turret. Also, regarding the turret, if you end up swapping to something with 340 heat, I'm just going to use the 113 because it's right there. The gun back down to normal. The entire upper plate becomes a pen. Next to the gun becomes a pen. The cupola, even more of it's accessible. This thing does not have very good armor in the grand scheme of things. This is no chieftain. This is no 279E. This thing, if you are hauled down, you will receive shots. Anyways, let's get into the battle. So, this won't be super representative of what this can do, because, as we can tell, there are 13 and 12 780s on each team. I also took a really bad route, so I'm just struggling through the water. The question that you might all be asking is it worth it? If you're a collector, if you want another tier 10, if you want a pub tank, sure, it's worth it. But and I'll explain this at the end. Only if you use the correct currencies. As for anything else, no, I don't really think it's that worth it. Now, I should have run earlier, but it didn't really matter here. So there's that upper plate shot I was talking about. And the gun is very comfortable to use. It is definitely a highlight. You got the accuracy and the aim time to actually be... It does not feel like a high alpha gun. It feels like... I wouldn't call it like the Leo's gun, but definitely an accurate medium tank gun. So here we can see some of the speed using turbo. Also, if any of you were wondering, mine is number 643. That was actually one of the most annoying things. For some reason, the server was down for maintenance for a couple minutes after the time that this event was supposed to start. So you actually ended up in a queue to get onto the server so that you could get this. It was quite ridiculous. Oh, here, I'll get back to first person view. Now, 7 degrees of gun depression is actually not that bad for a tank like this. Now, I don't know where that shot went, but it doesn't really matter. As we can see, there isn't very much armor to be spoken about when I'm shooting these opponent 780s. If they're hull down, I would just have to aim for their cupola or their turret. In this case, I just looped it into his lower plate, which is about par for the course. This thing is really accurate. At this point, it's game over. I probably could have played this slightly better, but that's besides the point. At this point, it's just about if this tank is any good. It's fun. I will enjoy it. It reminds me a lot of the IS-7, just without the IS-7's armor. Just the gun, just how it behaves, the play style. And for randoms, it's actually not bad. And here I almost got the cupola. That's what I'm aiming for. I'm just playing badly because it's too early. And this is where I made my final mistake, but it works out. Got my 3,500 damage, which is going to be low. I think this is a tank you can definitely hold. 4K average. Alright, let's get into the actual article. We can discuss it real quick. So, 20,000 tanks, 7,000 with the style. Not too bad. I think the numbers are actually okay. I don't know. I feel like most active players will be able to get their hands on it if they want to. I will have to log into a different account and see how many are remaining after this. It is only at this specific point 6:50, which is about 50 minutes after the whole thing dropped. And again, start at 6 a.m. and well, the server was down at that time, so it was ridiculous. Anyways, I don't completely understand why this is what they are trying to hype up about it. I do like the kind of the uniqueness of having a number on your barrel of like which one you got. Of course, you can't choose it. You kind of just play for it. Uh, just hit the button and hope for the best. I A friend of mine did get 001, which is ridiculous, but he was really trying for it. So, and then when it comes to the resources, this is where it is important. The most important thing to remember is that the free XP is the best. The credits, in my opinion, are the worst because it comes out to 100 million credits if you use only credits, which is an exorbitant amount. And the gold, it's somewhere in the realm of like almost 50,000 gold. If you just purely convert to free XP, even without a sale, it's like 30,000 gold. You save 20k gold, which back in the day, that was like $100 of gold. And then if you converted the free XP on sale, it's only like 20k gold for the whole thing. It's actually a really big difference. Blueprints are also decent. I have 3,700 universal fragments. It made sense to use the universal fragments. National fragments are okay if you don't think you're going to use a specific nation anymore. Bonds, again, I think it's about 40,000 bonds. For some people, that might be worth it. For me, it wasn't. And then, yeah, it's one interesting event. I don't know exactly how I feel about it. I like the concept of being able to choose the resources because, a lot of people don't have a lot of a specific one. They might have accumulated a lot of one of them. Unfortunately, there's one clear best, and in that case, it's free XP, which some people have something against. Um, I mean, they're using free XP for more and more. I don't necessarily think it's the worst thing in the world because you can earn it and then you can convert it on sale. So there is something to be said for that. It is a tier 10 tank that basically you buy for gold. You can buy a tier 10 for money in this case, which that's where I feel like I have a problem with it. I don't know if it's necessarily good or bad. It's just leading in the wrong direction where, eventually we'll end up with tier 10s in the premium shop. Like, I don't know. And that's just what it feels like. The one thing I did like about this is the fact that you knew beforehand what resources you could use and how much it would cost. So, and when it would drop. So if you really wanted it, you could have yourself, you could guarantee it for yourself because there were only 3,000 purchased in the first 10 minutes. So it wasn't like it was instantly sold out, which would allow a lot of people to get it. I don't know how long it will last today, but the number seems about okay for this thing. It won't flood. I mean, it flooded the matchmaker this morning, but in general, not everyone's going to play it all the time. So, is the tank worth it? If you have the funds, I don't necessarily see a reason not to, especially if you have enough free XP. If you don't play tier 10 enough, then it's probably not worth it. And if you aren't much of a tank collector, or if you want something that's really good, this is not it. This is more of a unique tank that has unique aspects, and it can play randoms pretty well. It won't be super competitive in anything because it's slightly slow and its armor is not fantastic. Anyways, hope you guys enjoy this video, and I will see you guys next time.